Welcome to Positive Talk with Kevin McDonald. Hey, that's me. Hi, and welcome to Positive Talk. Our show features the best positive stories and people from around the globe as we endeavor to answer the universal question of why am I here and what is my purpose? Understanding that can change everything, and knowing your greatness is fundamental to living your best life. So join us right now as together we work to create the adventure of our lifetime. Well, good afternoon, everybody. We have a tremendous show for you today. I hope you'll stay with us for the entire time. We have got a healer, a chiropractor. She is working in energy arts and with a lot of different modalities, all designed to help you live your best life, whether it's detoxifying yourself or energy work or just a whole bunch of stuff. And we're going to get into all of it right now. And Dr. Emma, how are you today?
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me today, Kevin.
Well, thank you for being here. Now, you're in Southern California today.
Yes, we are.
And you've been getting more rain than any Southern California has expected in a long time. But hopefully it will dry out fairly soon. But look on the bright side. All your reservoirs are filling up.
It's lovely to have water here in California. And it's lovely to be on a radio show to spend the time.
Well, I'm glad that you're here. You have a facility which is called the SC Vitality Center. And if you want to follow along, you can go to our her website, which is sanclementivitality.com. And you're where President, this goes way back, longer than you probably, but the White House was in San Clemente when Nixon was in office.
And there's still a Nixon territory with a very beautiful house on the cliff, and it's a beautiful area that they had on the cliff still.
Yes, indeed. So what got you involved and started, and tell us a little bit about your story. How did you become an energy worker, a chiropractor, looking at natural ways of really living a better life?
My story started from a very young age because I had an amazing life. My dad was a military doctor for the French army. We traveled a lot. And through those traveling, I needed a friend, and I got connected to a spiritual guardian angel. And he, at age 12, and very early on, I was first interested in how amazing life is and how beautiful our planet is. And from there, I started getting interested in how the body was functioning. And I started with energy work when I was 18. Chiropractic was when I was 20. I graded Doctor of Chiropractic at 25. And then I really was interested in the power of the mind, energy work, how the physical body works, how the brain works. And the more you put your finger into this domain, I feel like the more you want to learn more about it. It's like you get swallowed into like a deep rabbit hole.
Yeah. Well, now tell me about your spirit guide. Was that a person in the flesh, or was that somebody on the other side?
It was, I think, somebody on the other side. The way it happened is that we were traveling with my dad, so we were in Djibouti during that specific trip. And when we would visit him during Christmas vacation, he would take us around the area where he was. So that area was Djibouti, but we did Rwanda, we did Madagascar. So we explored quite a different part of the world. And during that trip, I remember we were going to a lake, the Lake Hassan, and it was a very long road, probably 6-hour drive, and there was nothing. There was no trees. There was just a dirt road with rocks on either side. There was no clouds in the sky. And I remember being like so bored, and probably was fighting with my brother. And at one point, my dad is like, okay, you have to be quiet. You have to be good. And so I decided that I was just going to find a friend. And there was one cloud that showed up in the sky. And I said I was going to find a friend in the clouds, like in a cartoon I was watching when I was a kid. And I went up, I met Max, and he was my imaginary friend for many years. And but every time I would be alone, every time I would be walking somewhere, I would call on to him and ask him to be with me on this journey. And he would show me the world. He taught me how to meditate. He taught me how to communicate with animals. He taught me how to look at the flow of life. And so until I was 16, I didn't understand exactly what he was. I didn't have the word to explain that he was a spiritual guardian angel. I thought he was just an imaginary friend. And at 16, we did a Silva mind control seminar with my mom, where it's a seminar where you go into deep state of relaxation. You go down and you create a mind lab, and in that mind lab, you discover your spiritual guide. And so I'm going down into the lab. I'm opening the door to the lab, and I'm seeing Max, and I'm like, "What are you doing here?" And he's like, "Well, what did you think I was this whole time?"
Wow.
and and the realization came to me, and from that moment on, I stopped having that just imaginary friend, and I used him as spiritual guide, and I was a lot more conscious about what I was asking him about energy work, which I started doing energy work when I was 18, and then chiropractic. And then within my chiropractic practice, people very early on came to me and they're like, "Oh, honey, you have a gift." And I was like, "No, I don't have a gift. I went to school. I'm educated." And people are like, "You don't understand, honey. People that you do what you do, they just don't go to school. There's something more about you." And so that's when I started looking into how this spiritual guide was helping me into many, many areas of my life.
Now, in your conversations with Max, by the way,
Hmm.
I love the name Max, the Spirit Guide. It's not like Gabriel or Michael or anything. I mean, it could be, but I love Max. But in your conversations with him, did he kind of explain to you what energy was and how important it was, and how it affects all of our bodily systems and all of that? Because I know he helped you with that when you were like
It
eight.
did. It's more than just like when I was learning something new in class, for example, or reading a book, or when I was doing that training for energy healing. He had showed it to me before without the word, without the understanding. And when I started learning and having conscious word about it, it clicked that that's what he was showing me.
Cool. And you
Because
know,
I was too young, I think, at first when I started working with him, to have the words to really understand. And the way he taught me was not through word, was more through feelings and sensation.
then that's how they do that, because
Hmm.
they don't necessarily have a voice. They don't have a voice box per se. So
It,
they send everything to you through telepathy and through energy and those sorts of nondescript things, right?
Mm. So for me, the more I get educated and the more I learn and the more I listen, even today, to podcasts and different work, the more I can perceive his guidance. And sometimes I can feel him like pointing, "This is important.
Ah,
This is important. Remember this." It's like a little it's like a little nudge. It's like, come on, pay attention.
well, I surely hope that Max is with you today,
I
and
hope
he's
so too.
telling you that this is an important interview to do, and that we're going to have a great deal of fun talking about all the things that you do.
Hmm.
So is Max there? Do you know? Have any idea?
He's always there. I have to say, he's always there.
That's got, I got to tell you, that's got to be very comforting to
Hmm.
know that you have, and we all do. We all have got spirit guides and folks on the other side who look out after us, but a lot of us don't recognize that. We poo-poo it.
Hmm.
We say, "Oh no, there's nobody over there," but there is indeed,
Yes.
and it's good for all of us.
There's that saying that says that what we're most afraid of is how powerful we are, and that we have a tendency to hold ourselves down. Somebody was explaining to me the other day that he sees it as like an ocean, and you're a cork floating on the ocean, and it's like your stress, your protection, it's just really holding that cork under the water. And to so that you don't see the full potential of what you are.
It's the same concept. So a
Same
friend of
concept.
mine sent me the other day a picture of an iceberg.
Mhm.
And an
Exactly.
iceberg, if you look at it, an iceberg, like 20% of the iceberg you can actually see.
Hmm.
80% is
Is hidden
underneath.
underneath. Hmm.
Yes. And that's very similar to how we are as people.
Yep. So the idea is really to open yourself up to trust what's going on, to trust those sensations, to trust that gut feeling, to trust your intuition, so that you allow yourself to be guided by it. And
I Go ahead.
no, that's all I have to say about it.
Okay. So there. But no, I trust is one of my favorite words,
Hmm.
because if you trust in yourself and you trust in the things that are being brought to you, great things will happen.
Great
Uh,
things happen.
I'm convinced of that. If you Go ahead.
And when I work with my patient, I don't tell them that I want to fix them and I want to, I know better than them what they need to do. I want to open themselves up so that they can tap into their own wisdom, their own intuition, their own connection to that spiritual, so that they can guide them their own self, because I don't know what they need to do to get their best life, but I can help them figure out how to open themselves up so that they can trust themselves, so that they can open up to their best life.
And that's really an important concept, is
Hmm.
opening up yourself, opening your heart, getting out of your head and finding out what your intuition is actually telling you. Is that right?
Exactly. Yeah, that's really what I'm looking for. And it's true that we live in a world where it's hard to do, where we're pushed for power, for money, for toxins, for sugar food that are making this physical, amazing body not work as well as it could be.
Exactly.
So it's returning to a more basic sense of who we truly are, so that we can express that in the world, and be authentic and be full of joy and life and light, and by our energy make this world a better place.
It is vital, I believe, that all of us understand that we have got, and I say in the opening, that we have a tremendous potential to understand our own greatness.
Our
And
own greatness,
if
exactly.
we understand our own greatness, then we can have the adventure of a lifetime.
Exactly.
But so many of us don't think we remember the stories from when we were a child, and we remember folks that were not necessarily kind to us all the time.
Hmm.
And so we take those stories and we believe them. I'm not good enough. I'm not skinny enough. I'm not pretty enough.
And I think we live in a world where we like to compare. You know, the grass is always greener on the other side. We watch people through Facebook and we're like, wow, they have their perfect life, but we're only seeing a very small windows of their existence, and a lot of it is not true. And it's easy to be like, look, I'm drinking this wonderful drink full of greens and still not do half the things you need to be doing. So it's easy to show a good face but not really live it. And but I think it's interesting too, because a lot of people are now influencers, are influencing people into living a better life and doing better things. But again, be careful the power, the money, the influence that goes with that. For me, it's important to connect with your own values.
I couldn't agree with you more. It is, in fact, vital that all of the values that you have within you come from within you.
Yeah,
And that being kind, being generous, being thoughtful, all of those things are things that make us feel good inside, don't they?
they do. And there's the problem that a lot of people now, there's this word empath. And there's so many people struggling of being an empath, of being sensitive and wanting to fix other people's stuff, because who likes to see somebody suffering, who would like to see somebody sad, who likes to look at somebody angry? And so we have all those empaths that wants to jump in and help and save other people, and those people might not want to be saved.
You bring up a superbly interesting point, is that our lives are a journey that we created before we even got here,
Hmm.
in my opinion.
Yeah,
And
I agree with that.
So consequently, there are times when we plan our existence to be a certain way in order for us to learn lessons here and
Yes.
to have experiences and to become, as you said earlier, who you really are. And sometimes it takes a while to do that. And if you short circuit somebody's mission or path, you're not really doing them or yourself any favors, are you?
Mm-hmm. Not really. I had a patient that made a realization, big realization, not long ago, and she was like, she felt like her job was to make her husband happy, and she was very depressed because she really felt like her mission or her life was revolving about making her husband happy. And one day I was like, but why are you looking to make him happy? Shouldn't he try to make himself happy? Why does he have to rely on yourself to be happy? And he's like, and by making him happy when he doesn't want to be happy, you're kind of enabling him to stay in that unhappy state. Why don't you let him dig himself a little bit into that unhappiness until he decide to really be happy by his own choice? And for her, it was very much transformative to have the ability to be like, I'm not responsible for my husband's happiness.
That's profound.
It was very profound. It was amazing. And from there, she's still with her husband. She's still a good wife, but she's like, the day he's unhappy, I'm not responsible for it. He has to figure out his own way to be happy. And she's not stressed the same way, and it's not a burden for her to carry any longer.
Which makes her happier.
Which makes her happier, a better grandma. She's starting to take healing classes because she wants to keep helping people, but not in the same strategies.
Well, and there are some of us out there that are people pleasers.
Of
And
course.
so we think in terms of how can I make everybody happy?
Mhm.
But we don't think about how can I make myself happy?
My husband is like that a lot. He likes making everybody else happy, which is really nice. But I'm telling him all the time, I'm like, you have to focus on yourself. You have to create your own happiness. You have to look around and not just focus on me, on the kids, on the practice, on everything else. You have to look at yourself
And be kind to yourself.
and be kind to yourself. Be
And
your best friend.
yes, yes. And I just love the message. You have developed this message over time and in conjunction with your spirit guide Max,
Hmm.
and you've become a very gifted person in these things with the schooling. Chiropractic school is not an easy thing. It's like a 4 or 5 year adventure,
Yeah.
and it's in, but you learn so much.
You
And
learn a lot about how the body function, how the physiology, the pathology, how the body moves, how the neuroscience and the brain, the nervous system. It's fascinating. I think I was driven toward chiropractic school for a good reason, because there is a really good base into that holistic practice, into really like respecting your body, taking care of the body so that the body works good, so that you can be connected spiritually and own those gifts in this world, like
exactly,
making this a reality in this physical reality.
because that is ultimately why you're here,
I think so.
is to live your best life and to make it all part of your reality. And by the way, we're talking with Dr. Emma, and we need to take a quick break, and we're going to come back, and I'm going to ask her that when you approach life in that way, doesn't it make everybody else happy by default anyway? We're going to talk about that when we come back. We'll be right back. You're listening to Positive Talk with Kevin McDonald. And we're going to come right back. So, and welcome back, everybody, to Positive Talk with Kevin McDonald. We have a wonderful guest here. I'm enthralled with this conversation. I hope that you are too. Her name is Dr. Emma. She is a chiropractor and a energy healer out of Southern California, but she actually can work all over the world because energy is a universal concept and it can go anywhere. But I wanted to ask you, going into the break, we were talking about how taking care of yourself is a better way to be, but doesn't that, but by its very nature also uplift and help other people to find a better way for them to be, knowing that you're not going to do it for them? They get the opportunity to run their own ship. Does that make sense?
It makes a lot of sense, and it's a concept called entrainment. And so entrainment is that idea that a a system that vibrates really high will entrain systems to vibrate at the same energy, and the system that vibrates very low will entrain the field around to vibrate very low. That's why when you're surrounded by people that are depressed, you feel depressed yourself. When you're around somebody that are like super energized and always happy, you have a tendency to feel happy too. So that's where we're saying that it's important to surround yourself with people that wants the same things you do, that are going to be part of your community and that are going to help you lift you up rather than pull you down.
Now there is something that I do need to mention here, and that is this: if you have you lived your life in a certain way, and you decide, like I did when I was 42, when I said, "Why am I really here? And is this all there is? There has to be more." So I went in search of what that could mean for me.
Mm-hmm.
But because of that, and I made some decisions about my energy level and what I was doing, there were people that had been in my life before that were operating at a certain level. And now, since my energy level and my vibration was raising, we
Mm-hmm.
no longer were compatible.
Yes, because you changed, they didn't change.
Yes.
And that's okay.
That's the way that I say it is, I love you and let you go.
Mm-hmm.
You've got your own life to live, and you've got to live it the way that you feel that you want to at the moment.
We can take a simple example with people that like drinking, and very often young people like drinking, and they're going to meet together and they're going to drink as a unit, and maybe a relationship is going to get started during that group of friends, and a couple is going to form and a couple is going to get married, and after within a few years the woman generally changes and evolved from wanting to drink, wanting to party every weekend, to wanting to raise a family and a child. But it's hard sometimes because the husband is still stuck with that wanting to have the party, the drinking, and the friends.
Indeed, and you've seen that a lot. I know I have.
I see that a lot, and so it's where the path split. And I think when you're in a committed relationship, you need to grow together and accept to change as a unit. And if one wants to stop drinking alcohol, the other one should partake in it and grow together into that direction. And often it's hard because one of them doesn't want to stop the alcohol.
Well, and the other thing is that they feel compelled to get you, because they're more comfortable with the way you used to be,
Yeah,
to get you to, hey, come on,
just
just have
one.
a drink with me, just one.
Uh-huh.
Just let's go out and we'll see the old gang and we'll have a good time and we'll drink a bit and stuff like that. But if she doesn't want to, then
Mhm.
that
And
can create
that's
a rift.
where we see that even in couples, women will separate from their partner because life got them very much separate and growing into very opposite directions, and let go of people that are not serving the purpose that you have in your life today.
And that has to be okay.
And I think it has to be okay.
And because you are, even if you are, with a group of people and you're the life of the party when you were in high school and stuff, and you've always been around a group of people, and when you change and you start to be more reflective about who you really are and what purpose
And what
you
you
are
really
given.
you want to do, because alcohol stops you from doing really what you want to do.
Yes, as
Alcohol is
yeah,
very limiting, and it's going to numb you out. I mean, there's things to be said about for alcohol, about, yeah, making you more happy, making you want to party more. But at the end of the day, I don't think that's what the purpose of life is to be able to party every day of your life.
well, at one point in time, now my brother was an alcoholic, and at one point in time, it ceases to become a reward of doing great things to becoming a necessity of life,
Yeah.
to where he
And
would
the
wake up.
suffering.
Yes, he would wake up at 10 o'clock in the morning, hungover from the
Mm.
night before. And so, as he put it, I wasn't feeling well, so I just cracked a beer. And that is at 10 o'clock in the morning. And so that led to an entire day of
Of
drinking
drinking,
again.
of course. Of course.
And then the next day he woke up, it becomes a vicious cycle. And
It's very vicious.
yeah, so
Mhm.
if now, do you help people? If somebody came to you, Dr. Emma, and said, "I got this problem with drinking, and I really would like to solve it," can you help?
I have helped people. I never tell people to stop drinking because they know what they need to stop drinking. I give them other opportunity to feel their body and to realize that it's not part of their higher self to be drinking. And sometimes we're going to connect more to the suffering, to the emotional distress that leads to the numbing and the alcoholism. I had a very successful patient that where like I was drinking 6 to 8 glasses a night, four times a week, because I was going out and that's all I knew how to do was just to get that whiskey, that club, whatever. And she's like, now I'm just drinking a soda and I'm as happy with it. So it's really a mindset change, there's a pattern change because we're dealing with the emotion, we're dealing with the pattern in the body. So that you can change pattern. You don't have to be stuck in the same way you've been doing things, if it makes
And
sense.
it's actually very courageous and positive when you make that decision,
Oh, it's a very courageous decision to make.
and when you can do that,
Hmm.
and you want to change, because the fact of the matter is, you've only got so much time here this time,
Hmm.
and you want to do everything that you can this time to accomplish everything that you, by your own design, created before you even got here.
Yep.
And if you don't do that, then you're just destined to repeat the same thing again, and you're going to go and be unhappy that you didn't accomplish everything that you wanted to.
Yep.
So by the way, we're talking with Dr. Emma. You are sensational, by the way.
Thank you.
Yeah. Let's go to San Clemente Vitality.com. Find out more about her whole team, her family, and everything about her. Because it is really interesting. That, by the way, did you and your husband meet in chiropractor school, or
We did meet in chiropractic school.
that's
We
because you were there
became
like 18
Mhm.
hours a day?
We became very good friends pretty much the first quarter I was there. We did seminars together. We did a lot of things. And in our my last quarter, pretty much, I started looking at him differently and being like, he's kind of cute, isn't he? And then I think he was not ready. My husband was really into school. He was very dedicated. It was his second career. He had already worked in the film industry and Hollywood and all that, and was not. So when he jumped into chiropractic, he was not a young kid anymore. I was younger, and I was more like, oh, this is fun and it's America, and yeah, it was an adventure. It was a fun adventure to come studying chiropractic in California. It was amazing, and so we were not on the same planet for a long time. We still were friends, and that we had a lot of point to connect with. But yeah, we started to connect at a deeper level almost when I graduated as a doctor of chiropractic, because it made sense at that point. I think I got more serious, more like head on my shoulder.
Well, congratulations, because that is, I've known several people that have gone through chiropractic school. It's not an easy deal. It's as every bit as complicated as going to medical school, and
Hmm.
you learn a lot of the same things that you
We
learn.
learn a lot of things. I like people that say we're not real doctors because we still learn a lot of what doctors are learning. There's a lot of the medication that we don't learn, but we learn how, I think even more how the body work, how to feed it properly, how to encourage it to work better, ins- instead of working how it gets sick and how to repair it when it's sick, which is more medical doctor. The chiropractor is really intent on getting the body to get optimized, to work better, to get the brain to connect to the body, to get the joints moving properly, to get people to stay active and mobile, to get you to be able to focus and work with your brain the way it needs to work. So
I love chiropractic. And when we come back from this break, I'm going to tell you my own personal story
yes.
of what happened to me when my back went out. We call it the McDonald's back. And my grandmother had it, my dad had it, my sister's got it, I've got it, one of my sons has it, and it's just a weakness in your low back, and that has to be taken care of. But there was a moment in time when I desperately needed medical help because it was the most painful thing I've ever gone through. We're going to be right back after this station break. You're listening to Positive Talk with Kevin McDonald and Dr. Emma, the chiropractor extraordinaire. This is fun. And and so now we're coming back. So and welcome back to Positive Talk with Kevin McDonald. I got to tell you, my favorite people in the world are chiropractors because they save me from all kinds of mischief that I've created in my life. I was an athlete. I was a football player, a baseball player, a wrestler. I did some boxing and all that stuff. And there came a point in time where one day my back went out, my low back, L4, L5. You know what that is? That's your lower lumbar. Mm-hmm. And the pain was so sharp that I could not walk. And so my wife at the time said, let's go to the hospital, go to the emergency room. So I said, yeah, I better go because this isn't going to get any better. So we go to the emergency room. We wait for a while, and they put us into a room, and they said, lay down on the table. So I laid down on the table, and the doctor came in. I explained where the pain was, and he touched me, I think, one time, literally walked around the table 3 times with his, touching, looking at his chin and going, well, you got a back problem. I said, oh, really? And they said, yeah. And I'm afraid there's really not much I can do for you. I'm going to give you some muscle relaxers and some pain pills. Mm-hmm. And hopefully that will calm it down. But I'm afraid eventually you're going to have back surgery.
Yeah.
And there's just no way around it. Mm-hmm. And so I crawled out of the hospital with my wife's help. And it was like, I can't do this. This is medical science. I can't believe they're telling me that. And anyway, so on the way home, there was a chiropractor clinic, and Dr. Cronlin, who we became good friends, was the chiropractor. And I went into there and I said, Doc, you got to help me. I'm in the restaurant business. I'm on my feet all day long. I can barely walk. And I walked in and I was real crooked, like you do when your muscles all seize up.
Yep.
And your nerves are all out of whack, and your body's trying to protect you by seizing everything up. Mm-hmm. And so he said, well, let me see if I can help you. So he took some x-rays, and we sat down, and he said, look at this and look at this and look at this, and this is all your L4, L5 and stuff. And he said, I think I can help you. So he puts me on the table, and he adjusts me the first time I'd ever had an adjustment.
It's weird the first time, for sure.
It was weird, and he had that table, or what do you call it? A drop
table. Mm-hmm.
Yep, a drop table, and
so that makes it even easier. That's pretty comfortable.
Yeah, it was very comfortable, very loud. Mm-hmm. So it was like it wasn't, but
it's a bit scary because it's loud. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but he adjusted me.
Yeah,
and I swear to you, I got off the table,
and you started walking.
I walked out of the chiropractor's office, and the pain wasn't totally gone, but it was totally manageable by the next day. Yeah. It was almost gone. I went back to see him. Then it was gone. And so I never had to go get surgery that time.
That's
and
awesome.
I became a fan.
A regular patient? Hmm.
Oh, heck yeah.
Hmm.
Well, why wouldn't you? If you if you are in
Exactly.
such
I
pain
agree.
and the medical people say, I don't know, I'm
Hmm.
going to give you a bunch of pills, which by the way, I hate taking pain pills. I
Yeah.
hate taking those kind of things. They just mess with me. They mess with my
I
system.
had the experience of saving three people, three person like this. My first one I remember was in France. I was a young doctor, and I get that phone call from a wife, a patient, and she's like, my husband, he has a big event today, and he cannot get out of bed. Can you come home to my house and help him? I cannot even move him up. And I'm like, oh my goodness, this was my first one. And I was like, I can try. We hear about those cases in chiropractic school where it's magical. People in so much pain they cannot get up out of their bed. So I'm going there. I'm bringing my table. He's bent forward. He can barely get up from his bed onto my table. I do a little something, and he got up. He had a little bit of pain, but he got up and he was able to walk, and he had a full day of event that he had to do. So it's amazing. I did three of those. Every single one is incredible.
It makes you as a healer
Hmm.
feel really positive about what you do.
Yeah, it's really helpful. It's really good to help people. I personally prefer helping the younger kids. Like I have right now a 27-year-old that has been like experiencing a lot of emotional trauma, a lot of abandonment, child abuse when he was a young kid, not being fed at night. So no, he's very skinny, is not very tall. You can tell that digestively is not work. His digestion is not working properly, but emotionally is really like a mess. Everything is danger. He's protecting all the time. Those are the people I really like to help, like transforming those kids that have so much anxiety that don't know where a normal word is, where they feel in danger all the time, that they're protecting themselves. And you can tell that their body's been struggling for a very, very long time.
I'm so glad that there are people out there like you because we've got in my opinion, correct me if I'm wrong, I think we have an epidemic of kids that are either mistreated or ignored or
Hmm.
uh, are having to go through things in their life, and the stories that come out are kind of horrific. Um,
There's horrible stories. We need to do better as parents. We definitely need to do better as parents.
and it would be nice.
And for me, it's not just the parents; it's the community, because you don't raise the kids by yourself. It's I don't want to blame the mom that are doing everything they can, because that's not it. But in that community aspect and how we take care of the youth, of the younger generation, and how we help them create that better world for everyone, because they have more energy than we do. And and with the technology, there's I mean they can be so smart. When I'm looking at kids today, I'm like, they're so smart.
And by the way, we need to depend on those kids and by the way, I apologize to the kids out there because we've kind of screwed it up for you, us older folks. And so now it's going to be up to you. Thank God you're smart.
Hmm. I think I think as adults, as older generation, if we can tap back to the respect that we can have for ourselves, for our planet, for our community, and really like start working on making this world a better place, so that the youth can really create new pathways, new culture around being well with the planet.
And that's one of the cornerstones of what Positive Talk is all about,
Hmm.
is to try and help people learn how to live their life a little bit better, more energetically, at a higher vibration, to be kind to everybody,
Yep.
to be thoughtful, and to understand that this isn't a competition between anybody else. This is a competition with yourself.
Yep. Exactly.
And
In a
you can
world where
do
you can be anything, be kind.
exactly right. And I've learned this when I was driving a bus, because I drove a bus for 12 years
Yep.
in Seattle. And I learned that I could affect the energetic vibration of the entire bus by my attitude
Hmm.
and how I behaved. If I was friendly and nice,
The
Everybody,
bus was friendly and nice.
correct.
The day
If
you
I
were
was
angry and bitchy, the bus altogether was bitchy and angry.
very much so.
Uh huh. That's what the driver do. So if be a driver in your own life, decide to be happy and kind. Bring people on your bus that are going to be happy and kind. And if there's people around that are not happy and not kind and they don't want to climb on your bus, that's fine. Let them have their unhappy life. It's okay.
And because they're going to, the way I look at it now is that if they're leading an unhappy life, that's on them, and they'll either figure it out or they won't. But
Exactly.
it shouldn't affect you or how you act towards them or to anybody
Definitely not.
else.
And it's not because they're unhappy that I have to fix them. I can show them how to be happy. I can be happy around them. I can be kind around them, but I don't have to fix them. And I think it's not necessary. I mean, after that, there's people that pays me to help them, but I don't feel like I have to change everybody in the world and I have to change everyone. I'm helping where I can, and it's not to change everyone I meet.
Well, and I got to tell you, you are doing a phenomenal job, and I love your philosophy, and I know that your patients love your philosophy as well, and you are leading them by example. We need to take a quick break, but before we go, this is our last break of the hour. But before we go, when we come back, one of my favorite things to talk about, which I don't think enough people talk about these days, I want to introduce people to an infrared sauna, and I know
Ooh.
that you can help me with that.
Yep.
So we will be right back after this quick break, and stay with us. You're listening to Positive Talk with Kevin McDonald, and we'll be right back. I have my own infrared sauna. I love them.
And they're awesome.
So I wanted to touch bases with that. So,
Hmm.
are you ready to go back? Are you having fun?
Yep. It's awesome. I like it.
Okay, good. So am I. This is fun. And welcome back to Positive Talk with Kevin McDonald. We've got an outstanding guest for you today, and her name is Dr. Emma. She is a chiropractor. She's an energy worker. She is a healer, and she also helps people detox. Now, I'm going to ask her what detox means in a general sense, but I got to tell you this story, and she'll correct me if I'm lost my mind or what. But my I have an infrared sauna that I bought. I've had it for like 10 years.
Okay.
And I bought it a while ago. It still works. It still does a good job. And I found that every time, you know how sometimes you wake up and you have the sniffles, or you got a
Hmm.
little beginning of a sore throat or something like that. You think, well, I'm catching a cold. I'll jump in my infrared sauna and be there for like 45 minutes. And when I get out, the symptoms are gone. It's like I gave myself a fever,
Yeah.
and
And that's exactly what it is.
good. So I'm not crazy.
No. So the way your body reacts to a bacteria or a virus coming into your body is going to by increasing the rate of your metabolism by increasing your temperature so that it can fight it makes the bacteria not as happy to be in that environment, and it gives your immune system a little bit more help to fight that bacteria off. And so when you get a fever, it's because generally you have a bacteria in your system. And so if you feel sick and you feel like I'm going to take things in my own hands and I'm going to help with the sauna, increase my own body temperature, my body will sweat and will detox from those bacteria, those toxins, but give a chance to your immune system to fight more. It's a great way to fight an infection, and
And
very natural way to fight an infection.
and I haven't had a cold and I mean this sincerely, in like 10 years.
That's
Uh,
awesome.
because it for me it works. And the other thing that's really cool about it is that you can plug an infrared sauna into a normal, what is it, 110 outlet, or whatever normal is.
Technology has been amazing, and it's so much easier today to get a sauna than it was 20 years ago. Um, if you look a little bit at the technology, we have different devices at the office. We have 5 or 6 different devices that use frequencies, that use light therapy, that use ionization to help the body function at a higher level. All those technology are very amazing, and I really suggest to people to look into what modern technologies can do to help the body naturally function better. And that's a lot of body hacking, which is really cool. Way of
What's
looking
body
at it.
hacking?
Body hacking is just finding technology to hack the body into working better, like you would
Oh,
hack
very
a
nice.
computer.
Oh, very nice. Now, are there? I get the sense that your facility is unique.
Hmm.
Is would I be correct in that?
It's pretty unique, yes.
Go ahead.
We we started it about 5 years ago now. We came back from France, so we lived 13 years in France with my husband after we graduated. Our kids grew up in France, and when it started to realize that his parents were getting older, we decided to move back for family reason to be closer to his parents and move back to California. And so when we started our practice, we just started a regular chiropractic practice, thinking that this was going to be enough. But we didn't take in the concept that the food in America was really bad and then creating a lot of digestive issues and toxicity issues. And we were really interested at that time into how the brain worked and how we can work with brain inflammation and reducing that brain inflammation for less anxiety, less depression, less brain fog, but also working with ADHD and autism kids. And so starting to look at how toxic the food and the environment was, we decided that it would be better to start working in office with other modalities for improving brain health. And so those modalities were the ionic foot detox bath that helps with detoxification, the infrared sauna that helps with detoxification, and the PMF mat, which is more grounding and brain balancing. So
I one time went to a chiropractor where I live,
mhm.
and they said, we think that a foot bath would do you good, and so it was an ionized foot bath.
Yes, that's what we have. Hmm.
Yes, and I said, okay, well, fine. So I put my feet into it and just kind of relaxed for about 15 minutes, and then I looked down in the water that was my feet were in, and the water
The,
had
the, the,
turned
the
like
transparent water that started with that turned into a brown, ugly, stinky kind of thing.
that's the one. Apparently, I'm not alone with that. With
The first time people do it are like, wow, this is disgusting, and feel bad about how dirty it is. And the concept is that this gunk is better out than in.
that's it. That's it. So, and it was shocking. It
Hmm.
was just shocking that they would be like, "Gee, I'm sorry, I didn't mean it for it to smell like that." Good Lord.
Yeah, it can be crazy. People react to it a lot.
And so if you want to get detoxed, now
Mhm.
there's you also do
So we do a recommendation on detoxification through diet. We have different powders. We have different support in terms of supplement that helps with detoxification. So we do nutrition detox. We do physical detox with Dianic for detox baths in the sauna because it's really important to support those detoxification pathways to work better because we do live in an environment that have a lot more toxins than what 100 years ago the toxins were. So because the environment is so toxic that our body has a harder time dealing with those toxicity. So it's just about supporting natural mechanism that the body naturally should be able to do it. But because there's so much of it, the body needs support.
Now, I will tell you that I do know that there are a lot of detox programs out there, and
Mhm.
some are better than
Det-
others.
Detoxification is very common, and the industry just took it on a lot. There's some that are really good and some that are not so good. Be careful when you do a detox that your body is ready for it. Don't detox all the time, all year long. What I'm seeing a lot of people doing is doing detox for 6 months, a year long detox.
Oh, that's not
This
good.
is way too long. Your body is getting drained more than anything else. You need to support natural function and you need to replenish and you need to help detox too. But it's a balance. It's a dance.
Are you familiar with what they call a coffee enema
Enema.
detox?
Hmm.
Now, is that? I assume the coffee is cold before you apply it.
Hmm.
But is that a good thing or not such a good thing?
Hydrocolon therapy, I find it's very interesting. I find it interesting because when I started to do them for myself, I was talking to my mother in law, and she was telling me that they would do enemas at home every weekend when they were kids. I think at one point in time, we had a lot more care for natural processes and helping our body do the natural processes. So going poop is very important. It's very important to empty yourself really well. A lot of people with this American diet have a lot of
Stuck.
mass stuck in their body, not moving the way it needs to move. And so doing coffee enemas can be very positive in if it needs to have some stimulation to help. It might be not good for other people. I don't like that idea that everything is good for everyone. I don't think there's a magic pill that is going to fix everyone's problem. It's really looking at what your body is doing and how can we enhance what your body is not naturally doing. So some people will react really well to the coffee enemas. Some people will have a little more struggle with it.
And I've done intermittent detox before,
Hmm.
and I find that I think a couple of days of fasting with aloe vera juice or something like that
Hmm.
works much better. But and not to go overboard with it, but just to detox your system a little bit and to give your organs a break.
We do live in a first world country, and the first world country problem is very different than the third world country problem. In this country, we eat way too much. So, doing intermittent fasting on a regular basis can be a very nice way to give our stomach a break so that it doesn't have to digest food all the time. And because it's not going to have to digest food, it's not going to get as tired and as struggling with having food all the time. So again, it's really figuring out what your body needs, and sometimes that's what the body needs is intermittent fasting.
And I'll tell you, in our society right now, first of all, correct me if I'm wrong, but when you go to the grocery store, shop from the outside
Yeah,
of the grocery store because that's where all the fresh things are.
most
And
likely.
and
Most shops. At
yeah,
Sprouts, all the good food is in the center, though.
yeah, that's where all the cookies and candy and stuff is.
Mhm.
But you want to try and minimize it. I mean, you can't
Mhm.
do everything, but
So the idea for me is whole foods. So foods that grow, food that so plants, vegetables, fruits, animal meat, fish. For me, as long as it comes from an animal or plant, it's fine. As soon as it's processed, be careful. The processing companies, the food companies in this country have lobbied a lot the Congress, and for some reason, the food that are should not be food are considered as food in the U.S., where you're not allowed to have those foods called food in Europe, for example.
Europe has got much stricter standards
Very
as far as
strict.
what's acceptable as food. Whereas by the way, I used to work for a chicken company,
Hmm.
and I know what chicken nuggets are made from.
Yeah,
Stay away from chicken nuggets because
stay away.
they they are not good. We've been talking with Dr. Emma. Will you come back and see me?
I'd love to come back and talk to you.
You are dynamic and wonderful. Next time we talk, I want to talk about our food and really the problems that we have with it, and that is causing more cancer
Hmm.
and other life threatening illnesses, autoimmune disease,
Yeah,
a lot of
so
different things.
much. Hmm. The
And
food is a big part of the problem in this country. And if we can find ways to have better food in our plates, we're already 80% better in terms of our health. So if that can be one of the focus, one of the message that we have today is pay attention to the food you eat. Eat with intention, eat with intuition, and eat things that are a little bit more local, a little bit healthier, a little bit better for you.
Do you subscribe to the theory of muscle testing when you go shopping?
I do muscle testing a lot, so yes.
Very good. And somebody's out there going, "Oh, muscle testing. What the hell's that?" Well, you're going to have to wait till next time, and then we'll delve into that as well, because I think it's very important.
Very important.
And because your body and your spirit and your energy, it knows a whole bunch more than you think it do, and
So much more.
It
Our
can
bodies
guide
are
you.
so smart. So smart.
Indeed. Dr. Emma, anything else you'd like to add before we go?
I think I did great. We did great. I love it.
We did. And you're so captivating. I have to have you back because I could talk to you for hours. I really could. So
awesome. Looking forward to it.
Dr. Emma, go to SanClementeVitality.com. Find out all about her work. Give her a call, and she'll talk to you about maybe a better way for you to be. And with that, thank you.
And
again.
It's easy to be healthy. Have a good day.
Indeed. I think that's a bumper sticker. It's easy to be healthy. So we'll be right back. Hey, thanks for enjoying this episode all the way to the end. Please give us a like and subscribe to this channel. This has been a production of PositiveTalkRadio.net. Please visit our website, oddly named PositiveTalkRadio.net, for more details about us and our mission, which is to provide great positive programming designed to inspire us all. I'm Kevin McDonald, and I'm proud of these shows, and I truly hope that you'll like them and share them with friends and family. So on behalf of our entire team, remember, be kind to one another.